Conversations with My Sister, a live talk experience with delegates, queens, and allies of the Mythful Figure D.M.V pageant about the world of pageantry and various daily topics. I am Director Lorrine Comer-Ross, a woman full of ambition, passion, and a love for my fellow sister. Well, good evening. I know you didn't think you was going to see me this soon, honey, but I got a treat for you. It's a bonus conversation with my sister. Stepping in is a few of my brothers, honey. So let's just get real relaxed and get understanding here because I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had. Of course, we're not going to be able to cover everything in the short period of time that we have with my brothers, but I just wanted to tap on a little bit of the topic. So, my capture for this particular conversation with my brothers was this. As full figure women, excuse me, we are a work of art from God that takes technique to capture our essence of beauty. So tonight we're going to be talking to two of my brothers who are photographers in the DMV area. As soon as I put them faces up here, I'm sure you want to know, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. Without further ado, welcome my brothers. Hey brothers, how are you?
Hi, Lorraine.
Hey, Mrs. Ross, how are you?
What's up, Mickey?
I'm good. I'm good. First, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here with me tonight because, as everyone know, I believe your time is your most valuable asset. And when you spend it, you can't get it back, honey. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's one thing you can't get back. So the fact that you took that time tonight to be here tonight, I really appreciate it. But I want you to introduce yourself to the ones who have joined us tonight and gave us their time by viewing us. Starting with you. Come on, Mickey. Tell everybody who you are.
All right, so I'm Mickey Leon. I am owner of a lot of different stuff. Plus model photography, M Armstrong photography, District of Curves. So if you're in the plus community in the DMV area, chances are you know who I am, and I probably know who you are. So I've been a friend of the pageant from the beginning, and yeah, that's me.
That is you, buddy. You do have a lot of hats, and yes, you have a lot of things that you have under your belt, and now we'll get into those as well. But how are you, handsome?
I am good, thank you.
Can you introduce everybody to you as well, sweetheart?
Um, my name is Oluwaseun Asade, but everybody calls me and knows me as Olu. I am principal photographer and owner of Images by Confessor. I am a friend and supporter of the DMV pageant. I came by the way of one of your contestants, and this has become a family to me. I'm known to shoot people of every shape and size, and I've been told that I do well with the plus size community. I see beauty in everybody, so my goal when I'm behind the camera is to try to capture that. Um, Father of one, simple person.
Well, I appreciate that. Mickey, can you just give us a tidbit on how did you get into photography?
I got into photography back in college, really. My line brother, I'm an alpha, shout out to A5A. My line brother was shooting in the club with a Polaroid, and I'm a computer science major. So I figured we could make some real money, shooting in the clubs and whatnot and giving people like digital prints. So that's how I got into it. And then he up and moved to Atlanta. And from that point, if I wanted to still make money, I had to learn how to use a camera. So that is how I got into photography in general. It was more of a, broke college student needed to make some money. So I had to figure something out.
Like my Polaroids in our background, he was just giving out them Polaroids right there. He was the $10 man.
He was
Go
giving out the Polaroids. I introduced the printer and the computer
Come
to his
on.
setup. I was like, if they paying this for a Polaroid, they're paying five for a Polaroid, they'll pay $10 for a print, you know. And so I'm from 757 area. We didn't have it's not like DC where people was already in the club shooting, stuff like that. We primarily didn't have that at home. So, I was one of the first people that brought that into the area in the 757 back in the early 2000s. So telling my age a little bit.
Well, that's a good way to start. I mean, it was all about figuring out something. Then you find a way to escalate it a little higher, and then I'm sure by now we all know that you look at lens type, camera type, what's going on next, and how lighting's supposed to be. Because I'm sure back at that time it wasn't necessarily all of those factors in place.
Oh,
Um,
not for me. For me, it was all about money. Actually got pulled in a photographer. His name is Andre Washington down in Norfolk and Portsmouth area. He saw me at work one day. You know, we talk about cameras. I'm working in the camera section. He saw a little bit of my work, and he had a studio. He was like, you know, you do decent, you do pretty good just out there with no training at all. He was like, let me pull you into my studio. Let me teach you some stuff. You know, and so he kind of took me under his wing for a little over a year in his studio, and actually taught me what I was doing. Because I mean, I just had a camera. I knew what I liked to see, and I was just clicking the button. But I mean, I was holding the camera all wrong, and I didn't know lenses matter. But he took me in, he taught me. So, and from there, it just became a release. You know what I mean? It became art for me. So it's never really been, aside from shooting in the club, it hasn't been about business, so to speak. Not so much. It's an art form for me. It gives me an opportunity to express myself. I mean, I do run the business, but I try to balance it. I don't ever want it to be a job.
you like it to be a passion and something that you love to do, and that says a lot because it'll come out in your images as well. Although I know noticed about you, and I noticed another other people have noticed about you. You do love beauty, even in scenery as well. Because I didn't seen some of your beautiful photographs of the parks and animals and birds and all kinds of stuff that you do. But I also know that both of you have full time jobs, and this is not your full time career, but I know that you have a passion about it. Oh, how did you get into photography?
I started photography as a child. My dad liked photography and would basically stick the camera in my hands. I didn't know what I was doing at that point, but I started taking pictures. I think I bought my first 110. Remember those slimline cameras when I was 10, and it's been on and on. I bought my first professional camera in 1999. But I still wasn't looking at it as a profession. For me, photography is a hobby. Like you said, I shoot all kinds of things. I love landscape. I like sunsets and things like that. Um, but I started shooting people more and more, and people started telling me you have an eye. You capture the details. You capture things that other people miss. Um, so my ex-wife decided in '99 that I needed to start a business, and she made me business cards and started promoting. So one of my friends was getting married that year. He said, "You're going to shoot my wedding," and I looked at him like, "How am I going to shoot a wedding? I don't know what I'm doing." Well, I told him to hire a photographer, and I'll shoot alongside the photographer if the photographer was okay with it. Turns out that my pictures ended up being better than the photographers. So he was mad at me that he spent money on a photographer, but
Ooh,
that's where I started. For me, being behind the camera is fun. It's a passion. I like it. I truly enjoy it. Um, I I always say to all my clients that everybody's beautiful. Some people say, "Oh, I got on too much weight. I don't look good." I'm like, put on the clothes. Let's pose you. Let's get you in the right angles, and you'll be amazed. But this is a passion. Yes, I have a full time job where I do IT services for the federal government. I support, the U.S. Census right now. I keep saying it that the day that I start making more money in photography than my full time position, I'll quit. But for me, photography is not a job. It will never be a job. It's a passion. I might make money off it, but I love doing this.
What I love about it is that, believe it or listening to both of you, your paths are kind of similar. It was like, yeah, you did it, got into it because you wanted to do something more to make more money in college, starving college student. And but you also did it after a while because you had a passion for it after being in that position at first.
Yeah.
And then Olu, your father getting guiding you on. And matter of fact, kudos to that ex-wife of yours, honey. You got something good out of that marriage, honey. She got you to start this business, and here we are. We're gonna go ahead and give her a hand clap
Yep.
um, for pushing you. But you just spoke on something that I really want to talk about because mainly I want to talk about the women that look like me, the fuller women, the fuller figure girl. Because often enough we are not told things that are good, so we bait to be into situations that we do not belong in when it comes to photography. When you find certain photographers who really don't know how to shoot plus size women, and people are like, well, what's the difference? You said it, angles are different, you know what I mean? Positioning is different, lighting is different, and you sit a girl down of a fuller figure and tell her to sit on a chair, the way she sit versus a girl who's of a smaller figure is going to be two different looks. Am I right?
You're right. You're
you know
right.
so it's all about making sure you have a photographer who cares about what the image going to look like for you, but also we have to be vocal on how we want our pictures to look and what we're looking for in a picture. So when you're shooting, if you wanted to, let's talk about some good practices for women of a fuller figure. Ideally, when she goes to do a photo shoot, what's the first thing you advise her of when she comes for her session, or do you advise her at all?
Who you want to start?
Mickey,
Go on, Mickey.
go
Okay,
ahead, Mickey.
so for me, if I'm when I first engage a client who's coming for a photo shoot, I want to know what her ideas are. Most of the time when people come and they want to shoot, they will tell you, "Oh, I have no idea what I want," but that's usually not true because they have seen something online that has inspired them to want to do this, or maybe they're trying to create a portfolio. But I mean, we live in a world now where you see a million pictures a day, so I try to get people to start talking about what it is that they want to do first, so then that lets me know where they want to go. And when I see this a plus size woman, I already know, like, I got to start kind of pulling some things out of her, maybe like to get what her vision is. If her vision comes from a straight size model, or a straight size person, a small person, which if you're in the industry, you know those terms, then I kind of start trying to get her to understand or start talking about like what type of clothes she likes to wear so we can try to figure out what's going to work for her and her body type. But we got to know what the vision is first. If she doesn't have a vision, then we can create a vision together. But I try to start them at their vision and then work them from that way. Because if I don't do that, I end up shooting what my vision is, which might be fine. But if somebody comes to me and they already got a vision in mind, then I want to know what that is. So for me, that's first. Is what's your vision? Why are we doing this? What's
Mhm.
your story you trying to tell?
So the advice will be, do some research, sweetheart. You want to come and you want to do a professional photo shoot, do some research, see some things that you like, and try to apply it to what your ideal is, and have that conversation with you as a photographer to make sure you get the product that you're looking for and not just whatever.
Right.
However, you are willing to help her create a vision as well if she doesn't have that. And that's a good thing, because I know also, I done seen situations where the photographer be like, look, you paying me, what you want to do, come on and let's figure this out. Or they're trying to position you in positions that just does not work for my body type, and all the pictures look like trash, and I didn't lost all the energy in the picture and don't want to do it anymore, and you don't feel good about yourself anymore. Okay. One of our current delegates, Miss Tracy, said she remember a photographer telling her that she was too full to be right. So, to me, I think that's a red flag already, that he didn't
That,
have the technique to shoot her,
that's
right?
that's not the right match. Right off the bat. Like Miki said, we want to know. what your vision is, and we want to know whether your vision is realistic. Um, you know, people come up with grandiose ideas, and I'm like, okay, we can try that, but I can't guarantee that it's going to work for you. But I would suggest things that I think would work. Outfits are important. Um, Being able to accessorize properly is important. Um, Makeup is important. Um, some people take that stuff for granted. Somebody says I don't wear makeup. Yeah, I understand you don't wear makeup in real life, but guess what? You're coming to be in front of a 45 megapixel camera that's going to show
Yeah.
every detailed bump on your face. So we need you to be able to think of some of those things. Um, I think I fell into the plus size category because of my culture. I'm Nigerian, I'm West African, I'm Yoruba. And in most West African culture, um,
All the women look like me.
yeah, they look like you. That was to us evidence that the husband was doing a good job taking care of his wife, and I mean, for me, it was just naturally what I saw all the time. And um, once I started learning photography techniques and, dealing with people on a day in, day out, you photograph people. I made a lot of mistakes coming up. You try to photograph a plus size person the same way you photograph somebody that is slim, and you realize you're not getting the same results. So I started teaching my clients techniques. I teach hand placement. um, I don't have my clients raise their arms up to show all of this, things like that. But it's something that you learn over time, and you have to be personable. You have to be friendly with your clients so that they're comfortable. I always tell people the energy you bring into a shoot is the energy you're going to get out of it. If you come
Mhm.
in blah, that's how our session's going to go. You come in with the energy, we're playing music, you're having fun, your pictures are going to look great. Um, Sometimes I ask people to get into poses and they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, trust me, let me take a picture and show you. And usually, if they see it and they like it, then we're good to go. But it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of back and forth. You know.
And as a person who don't take pictures professionally, what I mean by that is it's not my career. It's something that I continue to do because of the platform I stand on, and it's all about showing an image that many women can relate to. And that's what I want to talk about as well when you're photographing the plus size women. And I know both of you have already done what they call that boudoir kind of photo shoot before, and oh yeah, look at the smiles on their faces, right? And then and but when you do those type of shoots as well, those are also require certain technique with women of the fuller figure as well, because again, like you described, I know some plus size women who have a beautiful shape but don't necessarily like her arms, and you're saying positioning her arms a certain way and her body a certain way. I know that they are plus size women who have larger bottoms, but don't necessarily like their larger bottom because they don't really feel comfortable with it sometimes. And as a photographer, do you listen to that and address that when you're doing those photos? Or do you just, tell them, just kind of, let it go and forget about it and let your body do what it needs to do for you?
I
So,
think you have to listen to them. You listen to them and take feedback. Because if you're not listening, then all of a sudden you're alienating the person. They feel like you're not listening and they can't feel it. And again, it shows in the images that you end up shooting. So you have to listen. You can, if you know better, like that the technique that you're placing them in is going to work for them. Like I said a few minutes ago, I'll explain why I'm directing you a certain way, and then I'll take one shot just to get your feedback and see whether you know you like it or you don't like it. If you don't like it, then I'll go with whatever you said you wanted. But it's all about them being comfortable.
Makes sense.
Always. It's not about what I want.
Right. What you was about to say, Mickey?
I was gonna say, so you have to respect people's boundaries first of all. You have to respect their boundaries. You have to respect their feelings, especially in the plus industry, because a lot of people in the plus industry are already coming from a place of maybe a little bit lower confidence, a little bit lower self esteem. Certain aspects of their body they don't like or they don't want highlighted or accentuated. So you have to respect that first. As a photographer, we know that we can highlight things in a certain way to make it look better. What I tell people is that if I put you in a position or a pose and it's uncomfortable to you, it probably is right. It's probably right, and it probably looks good on camera because what a lot of ladies tend to do, a lot of ladies have their poses that they're comfortable or the way that they do their body that they're comfortable with. You know what I mean? And a lot of times that doesn't photograph well, not professionally, because you want your picture to look like a professional photo, not like an iPhone picture. So that's important. And then I also feel like as a photographer, if you're going to shoot a plus size woman, you have to be able to appreciate plus size women. And if you don't appreciate plus size women, there are people, this is kind of how I got into plus size photography, right? Running into people who will just take your money because they want to shoot, but they don't appreciate plus size women, or you see them online and bashing big girls and stuff like that. If you don't appreciate, I fully believe that if you do not appreciate plus size bodies, it is going to show in your work. I do not believe that you can be unbiased as an artist, as a photographer. People say, oh, just because I don't like this, I can still do it. I don't believe that at all. Because like I've always loved plus size women. That's all I've ever dated. That's all I've ever gotten, like that, right? I appreciate plus size women. If you are somebody you're disgusted by that body type, what makes you think that you can photograph that person and make them look more beautiful than what they already are? You can't do it. So those types of things are important when you're dealing with plus size people in general. You have to first appreciate and respect them, their boundaries, where they come from, their self-esteem, all of that, and be able to work with that. We're not just photographers in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, we're therapists too. And we are, friends, and we're trying to bring a person who has been in this shell their whole life. We are trying to bring them out, and we are trying to put them in front of our camera and in front of the world in the way that we see them. Our photography is what we see as the artist. You see one thing, I see another. I'm showing the world how I see you through my lens and through my eyes. So you can't do it if you don't appreciate what's sitting in front of you.
And I appreciate you saying that because, usually when you appreciate something, you take care of it, right? You take care of what it looks like, what's going to happen, how people perceive it. But that's also with men as well. We all know this is not just a woman's thing. Full figure plus size men, they like to be photographed as well, but you can't be having my buddy crouched all the way down and his gut sitting on the ground. That's not cute. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out best ways and best practice. But I think the key thing you said is the appreciation of the art, which is the plus size figure. The appreciation of that is that. So I know, Olu, you do a lot of versatile work as well, right?
Right.
And I know Mickey, you do too. But I do know that Mickey, your focus have been the plus size community, and you say that's because I'm just reiterating. And I feel like it's because that's something that you found the passion and you wanted to continue highlighting that. Is that where that came from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good. Uh, so right now I'm going to actually put something up that I want you guys to see. So recently, both of you did photography. Go ahead,
Can we,
baby.
real quick, can we hear what Olu wanted to say? Because I feel like he wanted to
Uh, I was gonna agree with you all the way about your views. Your views of why you do what you do, and my views are exactly the same.
Mm.
Let me show you what I see of you. And a lot of people don't see what we see. They don't see themselves as beautiful. You said that, and you were so on point with it. And I explain it to people, let me show you. And then when you see it, you feel good. We all feel good. Go on, Lorraine.
No, listen, I'm good. Like I'm loving this co-talk show right now. I love the fact that we have a good smooth conversation. But I think again, this is a very important conversation because overall, picking a photographer has something to do with the fact that they have passion about what they do. If you talk to a photographer and you're booking someone and you find out it's their first time photographing a full figure woman, I don't think I want to go with you, sir or ma'am. I'm sorry, I can't do you because I don't think that you're going to give me the best results for my money and my funds, right? That's not going to work for me. So before I move forward, I'm glad you kind of put a pause in that area. Would you advise models or people who, oh, well, let's just say, um, people period, not just models, because like I said, I'm not a model. I play one from time to time. When they going to find a photographer, that they ask specifically, have they worked with plus size women before or plus size men? Would you say that would be a good, what's your thoughts on that? Should that be a first question?
It's a good question to ask. I mean, usually you've looked at the person's portfolio before you contact them, so you already have an idea of what they've shot and the type of work they do. So you asking about the dynamics and how they work is a very good question. I tend to ask people, you know, that I'm shooting, how do you like to work? I like to play music in the studio. Do you like stuff like that? So that we create an environment that's right for your session.
Understood.
Yeah,
Mickey, any notes on that?
same. I would say I would give advice like if you look at a photographer's Instagram or their portfolio, as always said, that's what most people do. If you look through their entire portfolio and you don't see anybody that looks like you, especially if it's on their Instagram, you don't see anybody that looks like you are not that person's audience. You are not the client that they are trying to get. They may have photos of people that look like you, but it didn't make their Instagram page. It didn't make their website. That means that they were most likely they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to take the money of the person, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
feel as though that photo or those images were good enough to put on their pages. Because I mean that's really what people come to us for. They look at our page, and they see what we do. It's just like anything. If you want to go buy a pair of shoes, and you go look at the website and they don't have any shoes that look like what you want, you're not about to buy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So be cautious when you do that. Like, now if you're somebody who has the confidence, all the confidence in the world, and you feel like it doesn't matter who you work with because you're gonna make it right, then go ahead. But
Right.
if you are somebody who is a little apprehensive as a plus size person shooting, then kind of look for somebody who does stuff with people that look like you. 'Cause then at least they have experience.
Makes sense to me. Makes a lot of sense to me. I'm going to pull this picture up. And when I pull this picture up, I remember actually she's on right now. And this is Mickey work. Hello, Miss Julie. And she looked absolutely beautiful. And I want to talk to you about this particular photograph because I know you had consultations because she's one of my delegates, of course. She's one of my girls, I know. So you didn't have consultation with, and y'all was able to bring her idea to a reality that best suited her. Can you talk about this photo?
Yeah, so Julie and I had worked together. We had started working together like well before. She had a totally different idea that we were working with and putting together and everything like that. And so, right a little before we were supposed to shoot, she saw something that inspired her and she changed her mind. You know,
Mm.
changed her mind. And so we worked this look. in. You know, she was inspired by, I believe it was like her cousin had a shoot like in the Bahamas or whatever. It's like a flowy dress that she had on and everything like that. And she really wanted to pull off that look. So, you know, we had to have another consultation. We had to talk about it, and you know, we had to make this look work. I had to bring her out of her shell. Julia's like one of the sweetest people that I've ever met. You know, and so had to bring her out of her shell between myself and the makeup artist and get to pull off those looks. And when she saw the pictures, you could see it in her face. You can see it in her face.
That's the reaction we leave for when
Yeah,
they you see that happy face.
exactly. And it was more of a like, I can't believe that's me type of type of thing. So, but I mean, it was her idea. She wanted to pull it off, and so it was my job to make that happen. Obviously we're not in the Bahamas. We're in the DMV. We don't have a beach, so to speak, like that. So, we had to improvise and work within the work within our parameters. But,
Mhm.
that was one of the looks that, Julie was like, this is what I want. So it was my job to give her what she wanted.
And you did. I love that photograph. I thought it was absolutely amazing. What I love about it the most is that you took what her vision was and made her look absolutely gorgeous and what she wanted to see herself as. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about and someone coming to you about something. And it's my figure though, but I want to achieve this as best as I can. And we're making it work for that situation. Well, this one, hello.
How did I know you were going to pull this
You
one?
know I was going to pull this one, honey. And I absolutely another situation where we're not in Africa, just like Mickey just said, we're not by a beach, but we're not in Africa. But she looks like a beautiful African queen. And can you talk about your experience with Monet and creating this photo?
Yes, Monet came to me with the idea, and she basically told me what the outfit was going to be like and her vision for the shoot. And so, what I did was find a location that would mimic um, the vision. Um, Part of what went into this is looking at the time of the day too. Luckily
Mhm.
for me, on the day we shot this, it was slightly overcast. If you see the clouds, they're not bright blue; they're grayish. But it was sunny, but it was overcast. But it
Mhm.
was a lot of her idea and us talking.
The
And
beach.
part of what went into this is looking at idea and us talking.
The
And
beach.
um, part- I'm
I
not
didn't.
sure what
We
happened.
didn't see it to you.
Okay, but it was just a lot of talking and conditions coming out perfectly. We must have shot some 300, 400 frames the day we shot this, with different looks and different angles. But it was fun, and she was fun. Everything just came together. I like it when people have visions. Um, I love when the ladies of Miss Full Figure come up with their ideas for Miss Photogenic, and they challenge me. And this was fun. Can
I
I
love it.
recreate it? Yes, I can recreate this over and over. But yes, this was fun and it was unique.
I love those colors too. Just the way everything plays off each other. Like you said, the it was overcast, and a lot of people don't realize like if you want to shoot outside, that's what you want. You don't want bright sun. You
Not
don't want
not bright
dark.
and sunny.
You know.
Yeah. It looked again another vision that came to fruition based off of your understanding of the woman that's in front of you and technique, and they look absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to put up another picture. I talked to you guys earlier about I wanted to talk about when we get a little bit more adventurous. That's the word I'm going to use. We're going to use adventurous, right? So we get a little bit more adventurous, and sometimes we know that body positivity is something that everybody is living for right now. Is living for it because we want people to know that we're fabulous, right? And whatever I want to wear is my life, and whatever I want to do is my life, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that, but I'm also for presentation and how things come together, you know. I'm specifically talking about a new trend that I didn't seen around, and I'm like, oh my god, my full fit girls, baby, honey, let them respect you and treat you like art, and not just treat you like any old thing, right? So one of my sisters, Miss Mimi, the fullest side of things, recently. I'm sorry, this is not recent. This is probably within a year, maybe. Let me pull this picture up, and I want y'all to just take a look at it. Can y'all see it?
Yep.
Do you know that that's full body paint?
I mean, more than likely, if you magnify, you can tell it's full body paint, but it looks good.
Good. Yeah.
It looks freaking amazing, honey. Freaking amazing. And I want to give credit to Laura's Paint. That's who painted her body. And well, no, Laura's Paint is the photographer, and the painting of the body is makeup by Money. But I'm gonna leave it up here for a minute. So the reason why I asked her to share this photo is because I have often seen women trying new things of a fuller figure and just letting people do anything with them, anything and everything with them, and putting it out there. This right here shows that with your figure, you can still look like a piece of art in this type of era. You know what I mean? In this type of situation. And how do you feel about when someone is kind of put in that position? Do you guys have thoughts on that when you see women of a fuller figure not necessarily put in the best light?
I got a lot of thoughts on it. So, Olu, you want to go first, or what do you want
No, I'll let you go.
to?
See, okay, I'll be straight up about this. I try not to critique or criticize other photographers' work. Um, so I'm usually very careful because folks are sensitive about their art. But my thing is this: if something is tacky, it's tacky,
Hmm.
and all of us can recognize tacky. And what we don't want to be associated with is tacky. Plain and simple. That's how I would address it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I come from. I'm not going to criticize nobody's work, their true work, their as long as they are the type of person that's learning and they recognize that they're learning, that's one thing. I will criticize somebody's intent though.
Mm.
Because I came into the industry when there were not men were not accepted in the plus industry because men had come in and they had taken advantage of women. They had come in and just done things. So men were not trusted, especially photographers. I came in as a photographer and as an event producer.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of, and I mean, still is a lot of people who were really leery of guys coming in and shooting women, especially with no clothes on, or a little bit of clothes on. So if you're a lot of times, I feel like you can look at a picture and you can tell the intent. You can see that photographers, you can see what they've done. So if you go look at their page, and there's a lot of tacky pictures, trashy pictures on there. Um, it's one thing to be learning. It's another thing to try to take advantage of a woman because you want to see her body. And there's a fine line there. There's a really fine line there. And there are a number of reputable photographers in the industry, people who are experienced and people who are learning, because everybody does have to start somewhere and does have to learn. But there's also another fine number of not so reputable people with cameras, and those are the ones that when I see them online and I see their pictures and whatnot, I'm like, it's ridiculous. You don't know, what you're doing in a sense of you want to see this woman's body, and
Mm-hmm.
women don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard, I guess, because like a lot of times they come from areas where there aren't very many, there is no industry. There aren't very many photographers who are skilled in shooting plus size women, and things there's no art, so to speak, so you can just look at the picture and tell. And it bothers me. It's always bothered me because plus size women are always put in the light of like sexuality first, so it's like, oh, I'm gonna be sexy and body positive, let me take my clothes off. You can do that, but you need to be careful about how you do it, how the person photographs you when you do it, and what you're looking for. And as a photographer, you got to ask yourself, what do you want to be associated with? Because it's really difficult to remove association from your name. So if you are associated with a certain type of, I'm just gonna say tacky, smut, whatever, if you associated with that, that's what people are gonna come to you for. And if you
Mm-hmm.
try to be legit, you try to go, I say legit, if you try to go and be moving into more professional, more acceptable circles, that's gonna be difficult for you as a photographer. And the same thing for the ladies. These photos live out here forever. So be careful what you do and who you do it with, because you might do this at 21 and think it's great, and then at 31 you're trying to do something else, and these photos are now living out here of you. It's not a problem that you have naked, but it wasn't done right, so now you just look crazy, and you're going to end up not being able to fulfill some of the things that you want, or you could end up a meme, or you could end up just something that you really don't want to have. So you have to do your research on, and I hate that term, do your research, but you have to do your research on who you're doing this with. Are they qualified to do this type of thing? What are
Mm-hmm.
they have you looking like? Because another thing a lot of y'all really don't understand too, as a photographer, we own those images. You don't own those images. You didn't pay for the images, you paid for our time. Those images belong to us. So we, while ethically, no, you should not do something with the images that your client doesn't want you to do. But in most states, legally, I can do whatever I want to do with the picture. I can put it wherever I want to. So you need to understand that as well. I'll get off that soapbox because that's a whole episode. But um, understand who you're working with, understand what you're doing. You
Did you
know,
just say that's a whole episode?
it is. It is. It's a whole episode. I mean, it's a part of my platform, in terms of just what I've been doing in the industry over the years. So I have a lot to say about it. Um, I just don't like people getting taken advantage of. At the end of the day, I don't like that. Like, don't take advantage of somebody for any reason at all. And do not use your camera out here trying to see naked women. Like, I mean, it hurts us all as photographers, man. It makes it so much more difficult, to do
Yeah,
art.
I think I like I said before, I think everybody have limitations to what they're going to do, and you have to be clear on what you're sharing and what type of understanding you have between a photographer and yourself when it comes to your session. Because uh, for example, both of you know that I don't prefer for the women who's participating in this pageant to do anything that's too much of sexuality or too vulgar in a way. If you're doing lingerie, honey, close your legs, stand up though. You know what I mean? You can still make it beautiful and it can be nice, and certain angles you just don't do because it can go from classy to raunchy real quick, you know, and it's that way. But if you the girl who looking for that and that's going to be what you're going to receive, like you said, be mindful that you put it out there that way and you necessarily don't have control over where those photos are going to go with most photographers because they own the right of the images other than what you agreed to pay for and what you receive. I have seen contracts where girls had said yes to something and didn't even realize they said yes to that something. And they're like upset because they seen their images somewhere and it wasn't supposed to be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. So be very careful. But I'm going to also talk about one more. Well, I'm going to give you guys a couple of more images that we're going to talk about. So this other image, this is Mickey's image as well. And then I'm going to show another image of Olu's as well. This is my good girlfriend and a good friend of yours. And when I saw this picture, I love everything about her. And this is not a new picture. This is an older picture. but because of her curves and she looked confident, these legs are forever embedded in my head, and the shape of her body is just everything. Well, how y'all, Sheikah? How you doing, boo? She looks amazing. And one of the things that we do is swimwear. Her body looks excellent. She looked so good. That was a perfect pose for her. The way she positioned her body, her head to toe was giving everything business. And I know for a fact that this queen, she'll tell you in a minute she's not a model. Am I right, Mickey?
Yeah, she said she's not a model. She just play one on TV.
But when you say this is a great photograph of her,
Yeah, actually, it's one of my favorite ones of her. Really, just because she was really effortless with it when we did it.
mm,
I mean, like she she's the one who will. She is one who like will have like the confidence issues in the beginning, um, until she gets comfortable. So she's a perfect example, right, of somebody who, if you even somebody that knows her, yeah, I'm sorry, she plays one on IG. My bad, I misquoted it. But so even with somebody that knows her, you have to get her in her comfort zone. You have to listen to what she's saying about her body and how she feels and everything like that. Um, and then once she gets there and she feels like you are listening to what she's saying and you are, understanding what she's saying, then she's able to put out an image like that. You know what I mean? So that's a perfect example of listening to what your client is saying and just letting them become comfortable with the shoot. It takes a little while. I mean, I shot her for years, so it takes a little while to like warm her up. You gotta listen to her, and then
mm-hmm.
move into that. And that is the way it is with a lot of plus, excuse me, a lot of plus size women. Everybody doesn't come into the shoot with the confidence of an Ebony Walker. You know what I mean? Like everybody don't do that. So yeah.
What what I have learned as well, that even you have those girls who have confidence, a lot of confidence in who they are when they walk into a photo shoot, and that's amazing. But you don't really know the story backhand how they got to that point. Like, how did you get to this point? So I really feel like everybody have a journey, and some are easier to land into it once that journey get to rolling. But that particular photograph to me, again, someone cared about the way she looked. You cared about the way she was portrayed, and everything about it was nothing but art to me. I love it. And then we talk about that very enduring look. And remember, I was talking a little bit earlier about the boudoir shoots and all that good stuff. Well, Ola, you got some shoots on your page, but this one right here made me go, she just looks so beautiful in who she is. And the black and white was like amazing. You could tell that she's a fuller woman, and it's just a beautiful photograph. And to me, I don't look at this as a poor representation. I look at it as a work of art and a beautiful representation of what a woman looked like, of a fuller figure, even in her most comfortable moments. Can you talk about this a little bit?
Thank you. You actually know who that is. That's my assistant Veronica.
I know.
She before she got into photography has always been my muse. Always letting me play around with concepts and ideas. I shot that image originally in color, but started playing around with it, and black and white just took it to a whole different level. Um, we were usually once a year I have a series of boudoir shoots that we do. I get a hotel room for a week and then schedule shoots. And as part of that, I always shoot my assistants if they want it. But she was having fun. She wanted the afro look and the sultry, sexy look, and everything just came together. It was one of those shoots.
It was absolutely beautiful. It's funny when I said I don't know who she is, and then when you said Veronica, I said, "Oh God, I know that
Yes,
is her." I had a little
yes,
closer, but again, because I'd always seen her behind the camera and next to us in the shoots that we do,
right.
and then um, I show those photographs and those images to also show women who's watching right now. It can be done tastefully. It can be done where though you can be celebrating and then you can get that look of that body positivity that you put in out there. But it's all about what you portray. Now, if that's something you like to do in a different way, that's fine. But I think the key to this whole live is to say, do your research, look into your photographers that you're going to be using to put your images out there. Understand that if you want something in your session, you have a conversation, your consultations are important. Use that time to actually voice your opinion on how you want your images to look or how you want to be a part of something. Or if you're signing up for a photo shoot section that they are offering, make sure you understand everything in their vision, because this photo shoot is about their vision, not necessarily your vision, and make sure it aligns with who you are and what type of person you're trying to put out there. Women with a fuller figure, I'm not going to say this in a sugarcoat way, baby, you have to be careful. You have to be careful because you can go from classy to raunchy quicker than a skinny girl sometimes, just by a shift of your hip. So you have to maintain some understanding. But if that's what you want, that's what you want. Well, I also had the pleasure of being behind both of y'all lenses, a couple of times, just a couple of times. And these are some most recent pictures, but this is actually a series that we have done, Mickey and I, with our 2020 queen. But I use these photos a lot because I really love me in this purple. And I must say, you captured old girl, honey. Oop, leg. Oop, body. Come on. She
That,
cute.
that's royalty right there.
Yeah, I know you
Cute.
love that one.
Because the girl love a split. And she love her legs. I feel like that's one of my best assets. Mickey, by shooting me, that sometimes I doubt myself in certain things as well. But that day, buddy, did I do well?
Yeah, you did well that day. You were good that day. You had it going. You was ready. You had your girls. You did well. You did well. It makes a difference for you too. Shooting with the queens, I can tell it makes a difference when you have like peace with the girls around you. And Ebony, Gabby, and Sharmika that day were also doing well, which kind of put you at ease after you finally got your dress on and you realize that okay, we got this, and then you did your thing. You did your thing.
Well, thank you. I will say that I am selective of who I shoot with because I'm very, very vocal on my vulnerabilities and stuff. I'd be like, I don't like this smile sometimes. I don't like this. I don't like that. And it's more so me saying, please take care of me. Don't have me looking crazy out here. Please, 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 please don't.
One thing I say about you, and I have to give you credit for this, is I learned a little technique with you from the last time that we shot. Like you said, you are, you get a little nervous sometime and whatnot. We were in here shooting in my studio, and you know, you would tense up. And I'm like, Lorrine, like, come on, girl, like you got this, like that. And so, we working through it. And then so I'm doing something on my camera. You're like, okay, you take a picture of me on my phone. I'm like, yeah. So I go to take the picture of the phone, and all of a sudden, Lorrine lights up and turns into a whole model. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's just the camera that she's scared of.
And with the camera, and you won't turn it on. But I put the phone in front of you, and now everything I'm trying to get out of you, you're doing. So I said, you know what? I said, okay, I'm gonna shoot you with the camera, your phone. Look at your phone. And then I'm using my camera too. And then here we go. And now we get in the images. So, that's a little technique that I picked up shooting with you. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna take some of these people because they love to take selfies. Lorrine will take a selfie. So all right, we're gonna do this here. Just pay attention to the camera, to the phone. And now I'm gonna get the images that I need. And and it worked. It worked for those last few pictures that we did here.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. So sometimes I do think it's because, okay, like you said earlier, Oli, this is a big camera. This camera catches everything, right? It catches everything. But you're right. I do get a little bit more relaxed when I'm like, oh, okay, because I can delete them off my phone if I want to. You have complete control over what's going to come out of that from that camera. But what I appreciate is the fact that you noticed something that made me more comfortable. and you took advantage of that in a good way by trying to make sure I got what I need, get what I needed out of that shoot, and you was able to get what you needed out of that shoot. That says a whole lot. That says a whole freaking lot. That's interesting. I didn't know you was gonna share that, but that was cool. That was that says a whole lot though. So but again, it proves the fact of making sure that you do your research about the things that you're passionate about. Because if you wasn't passionate about how I look or cared about what I looked like when we were sitting down, you would have let me just bomb the whole shoot. You would have been like, it's whatever she wants. This is what is going to come out. And only we had a good time too.
Yeah, but
To shoot.
I didn't see a nervous person. You came over and you bumped down my studio. And she came over and she took over. I mean, I think I was more in awe that I was finally shooting her in studio,
Oh,
and I was just happy. And I mean, the images came out fantastic. She's happy. I'm happy. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
well, this is the shoot where you are doing your pearls and furs,
Yep.
and I actually call a stylist that's inside of the DMV area, Mr. Ron. You know Mr. Ron, right, guys? Of Shop Belvedere,
I do.
and I said I need a fur coat, and I saw you had one on Instagram, buddy. I need to come and get that coat because it goes with my idea. And I told him what I was going for. I told him I was going for ghetto classic, and he was like, "Huh, Lorraine, what is ghetto classic?" And I was like, "Babe, I'm about to put on some jean booty shorts and some other things and try to make this thing look good." This is without the fur. This is what it turned out. Hey,
I
hey,
mean, you knocked it out.
hey, hey. Um, but you're right. I had a good time that day, and it's also about what mindset you in right then and there as well too. And on that day where me and Mickey had shoot for a really cool concept he had, it was a lot going on that morning, and then by the middle of that, I was feeling good, and everything turned around for me. And I appreciate you on that day, Mickey. And the day that we shot, I had just hit the jackpot on some things that I was happy about, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm about to go in here and act up and get up out of here. And it's also about your mood. The mood is very important when you going to shoot and stuff. Now, let me ask you this question: if a girl come and a woman or someone come and you see that they're really not in the mood, as a photographer, do you look at it and say, hey, look, you got to get it together or you just lost your money? Or is that on a case by case basis?
No, I mean it's never you just lost your money. I'm trying to get their mood together with some music, or maybe you got to take the first few minutes to find out what happened. Maybe they just need to talk it out. And I mean they have their session. You know what I mean? But if they're not there mentally, you gotta help them get there. You gotta. Sometimes you can't do it, but you gotta help them get there. I mean, I've had ladies. I'm laid back, right? So I know I did a shoot for Valentine's Day. And a couple of the ladies, they had some edibles. They wanted to eat them. They didn't know whether or not it was okay. So they got halfway through the shoot, and somebody was just like, "Look, can I just take a little bit of it to take the edge off?" I was like, "Do what you got to do to take the edge off." I mean, do what you got to do. She did that, and about 15 minutes later, whole different person. And she was good. She was stressed out that morning from something, and she had to bring herself to where she had to be. But I had to listen to that. And it made a huge difference because I didn't think we was gonna be able to use no images from that shoot. But after that, she got into her zone. So it's all about respecting people, and how I talked about boundaries. Like boundaries go both ways. You know what I mean? You got to kind of listen to what people got going on, because what you don't want to happen is somebody that paid you, you do the photos, and while yes, they did, it is their shoot, and then they don't like them. So now you're up against, is it worth me just saying no, whatever, I'm not going to redo this or whatever? Is it worth me doing that versus you getting a bad reputation or word? Because word of mouth is still like one of the biggest things for us in terms of advertising and how we get our business. So If we can correct everything before that happens, then we need to do that. It'll save you a lot of headache on the back end.
Well, Miss Ross don't necessarily condone contraceptions, but now these days, that's a legal thing. And, the fact that, I mean, first of all, I don't think you'll let a girl get in any position that will harm herself. So that's cool.
No.
But I also know that I didn't see it where though a glass of wine loosen up, and in this case, it was a little piece of edible that made things work for her. But mood is very important. I think that is. And we actually have a question. And the question is, what is your best advice for amateur models wanting to excel in photography world? What's the key for a perfect picture?
I'd
Oh,
say
he put it on. He said, "Come on, Olu, I just got finished. Come on, baby, talk to him."
I'd say first know what you know, the concept you want to execute. Um, Pick the right photographer, do your research, and then work on it. Because it's a lot of things. There are things that we as photographers have to do to execute your concept, whether it's lighting, whether it's having the right props and things like that. Um, what's a perfect picture? I don't know what a perfect picture is. Um, each picture, each image I create is unique. And it's usually unique and geared towards the person I'm shooting because we've talked through a lot of things. So again, communication, um, having a good stylist, having a good makeup artist, and then mood. Even being in the right mood when you go for the shoot. That's so much going on.
So what I love that I heard is first to answer your question is to be persistent in what you want and continue working at it and continue doing what you need to do to get to you want to be and excelling in a photographer book, meaning that you have to continue to work, meaning you have to continue to practice, meaning you have to continue to do photo shoots. The other thing that I hear, the words making a perfect picture, not necessarily he can ideally tell you what a perfect picture make, but we can tell you certain elements that make sense to make your picture perfect is making sure you have the correct makeup artist, making sure you have the correct wardrobe for what your ideal image is. And you know what? I'll give you a little something that I have learned was being okay with understanding your angles, getting into the mirror and actually practicing what looks good on your face, paying attention to what your face do when you're doing something else with your head versus you turning it this way or that way. And you want to make sure when you're looking down at things, honey, or when you look up at things, how things angle you, because ideally the perfect picture is going to be the one that catch your eye. And no one is going to be able to tell you that other than yourself when you find what makes you feel good about it. Because it's been a lot of pictures I didn't see, and I was like, oh, that is not, that don't work. And that actually happened between me and Mickey recently with our group picture that I got all over the place now. He was like, Lorrine, I don't know, baby. These girls was over it at the end. I don't know we got one in there or not. I said, send me these images that you're talking about. Give me a couple. Send them to me. Don't send me everything because I'm not gonna. And he don't send everything anyway. So he went through a couple and he was like, "Yeah, baby." I saw that picture and I was like, "That's us. That's me in the middle." Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I didn't think it was one in a bunch for real, and I don't think I saw the picture you picked until we got to the pageant, and you had it printed in the book, and I was like, "This one was in there." like, like, it was hot that day. Bees and wasps all over the place. We had hiked 4 country miles up and down in the heat, and I did not think that there was a picture in there. Like, I mean, I picked the ones that I thought were the best, and it took an extra set of eyes. It took somebody who was unbiased, so to speak. I mean, she's biased in that these are her girls and it's her pageant, but as the photographer, sometimes we got to step out of it because we are so analytical, we so critical, we so everything. So, Lorrine picked that picture out, and I'm like, I mean, I love the picture, but I didn't think it was in there. I did not. You
I
know,
mean,
It was
it's
in
like
there. I was hyped. I was like, I got one. That's all I need. Let's go with it. Now it's on everything. It's on our website. It's on Facebook. It's in the middle.
and it was one that I edited. It was, but I thought I failed that day. I really did. I thought I
But
failed.
that also says something else about it, like you just said. Using your eye to come narrow things down, and then allowing the person, if they have control, because if you're part of somebody's project, you just gave yourself as being part of a project. You don't have no control over that, right? Unless they decide to give you some type of control over that. But when you have control, and as the photographer and the person that's your client, and willing to listen to each other, guess what? I got my perfect picture, baby. I sure did. I got my perfect picture. And everything that I imagined, it was what it's supposed to be. Because when you opened up that our program book for the 5th anniversary, baby, that thing looks so good. You opened it and you was like, oh my God. And both of you was in our 5th year program, because Olu takes our delegate photos, which we got one coming up really at the end of this month. You've been taking our delegate photos since 2019. Let's see, 2019, no, 28, 2020.
I
Which one?
feel blessed.
It's been a while
Yep,
that
I
you've
think
been
we're
taking
better
out
than
decorative
19.
photos, and I appreciate it. And end of the day, the reason why Miss Lorrine did this, because I just wanted to have a conversation that I think needed to be had. And I'm sure this conversation can go in so many different areas. And some people may got some information that was helpful. And if you didn't, you know what? Take the time to reach out to a photographer and ask them for a consultation and just have a talk with them to understand what's the best way to get you what you need and where you're trying to go with it. You know, everybody that's in the plus community is not trying to be a model. I know that. Okay. I know that. But if you're in a plus community and you in any stand, or you're in in any professional, you probably want to make sure you have a professional headshot of yourself when someone asks for a photo of you, not a selfie, okay? A business headshot. You know that number one, the thinker, you
And,
know,
you know,
uh-huh.
touch on Melanie's question. What you just said that. What advice for an amateur model wanting to excel in the photography world? Right, investing in yourself.
Investment.
Investing in yourself. Spending a little bit of money to get that professional headshot. You know, like you said, working with a variety of photographers, but investing in yourself. You know, because that headshot will go. It'll go a long way. You know, it's if as a person who's been a casting director, as a person who has casted for my own shows, I've sat on panels for other shows and things of that nature. A lot of times what'll make a difference is somebody sending in a professional picture versus somebody sending in a selfie. So you might have a beautiful woman who sends in a selfie that doesn't really communicate how beautiful she is, and you may have somebody who is still beautiful but maybe not quite as confident, but they took the time to get that professional photo, so everything is hitting and it's highlighting all of the features on her that the selfie didn't. And that one with the professional photo might be the one that get it, because on paper it looks like she took the time, she cared enough to go have somebody do that photo for her, to have somebody do her makeup, to have somebody style her or whatever to get that picture. She cared. So in translation, it would seem like she cared a little bit. She's the type of person that cares enough to take my show seriously, to take these garments that we're trying to sell seriously, to take this client that she wants me to send her to seriously. So it says a lot about you and the effort that you make. So if you want to do something in this industry, even if it's semi-professional, invest in yourself. You know, take the time and do that.
That's great advice. And I know for a fact, like that's why it's always important when we do our delegate photo shoot. I do it because we have women who never have been put in that position where they feel like they need it to have professional pictures done to present themselves, and we try to make it so that when you go through this process that you can get a lot of things that you can use in other areas of your life. I know some women who had their photo shoots done with us and they used that headshot that they took without the sash as what they send to people sometimes because everything was done so nicely. But it's definitely important you invest in yourself until you find that moment where you no longer have to spend the money to get you where you need to be. I mean, people talk about, well, why do I have to pay for this and why do I have to pay for that? You have to invest in yourself, just like all of us did when we paid for our education, right? They don't give us that money back. We got to work for our money back because we had to invest in our education to get to where we at to make the money we wanted to make, right? Before you got to that point, you had to invest in your craft. And that's something that's here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to make sure you understand as a fuller figure person, you have choices. You have the ability to get complete understanding before you make the decision to shoot with someone basically because they're willing to shoot. The difference between somebody with the camera in their hand who's just doing anything and a professional is clearly that they would take the time to understand what you need from your sessions with them. Not just shooting you and letting you go about your business because anybody can do that, honey. Like it was already told, you got iPhones and Androids that can do that all day long. A lot of things that you can do now that you probably couldn't do before. Why not make sure when you put yourself in a position where you're going to do something professionally for yourself that you have a clear understanding of what you're getting in return and be okay with having someone respect what type of this goddess art that they about to get. This is we're a piece of art, baby. You got to take good care of us. So you don't want nobody just doing whatever. And I really appreciate you, Olu and Mickey, for being here with me tonight. We kind of went over an hour of conversation, but I feel like it was some good information. Any final thoughts at all before we exit?
Thank you for inviting us. It's awesome to be able to talk about what we do and for people to know that we're not just guys with a camera. We're passionate about what we do, and we do it out of love and respect. And we want to show you in the best light that we can.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely agree with what Olu said with that. Two pointers that I'll give out to plus size ladies in general is that all plus size bodies are not the same. So when you are looking at your practice and you're posing and you're looking at people who, you're modeling after to try to figure out what to do, it's important to learn your angles and what work for your body. So, plus size is a big range. It's a huge range. So you need to know your body shape, body type, know what kind of poses work for you. Something that's going to work for a petite plus model is not necessarily going to work for somebody who is 6'2" and they're a pear shape. You know what I mean? So look out for those things. But that's another conversation. I just want to say, Lorrine, thank you for having us on to be able to talk about, this and be able to just let people connect with us and see, like Olu said, we're not just guys with cameras. Like this is something that we do, and I'm pretty sure you can tell we both could talk about this all night long. It's,
Listen, which
it's
is good stuff. But the I'm sure everybody would want to know how they can follow you. So if you can just give your IG. I know not only I know when I look in your information, there's a lot of information to get in contact with you guys through your IG pages. Would you say that would be a good place where they start? Never mind, we're not gonna go there. Just go ahead and give your IG for people can be able to get in touch with you and say it slowly so they can understand.
all right. So for me, you can just connect at Plus Model Photography for IG or Mickey Leon 1906. But Plus Model Photography, follow me there. I'll follow you back, and we can connect in that way.
He answer his DMs as long as they're polite.
I do.
Okay, just keep
Uh,
it clean. Come on, Mr.
for
O.
me, it's simple. It's awesome African one on
Come
IG.
on, African one.
Yeah, the number one at the end. Awesome African one. Like Mickey, if you follow me, I'll follow you. I answer my my DMs too, and I'm looking forward to all the connections. You know,
Think it's going to be good, guys. Well, thank you again and have a wonderful evening. And I'm going to encourage people to share this. It's an open conversation and keep the conversation going. Talk amongst each other, support each other in understanding what's next when you're trying to go into a field of modeling or just the point you want to have a beautiful photograph of yourself and how to go about it, especially if you're a fuller figure. All right, everybody. Well, good night, Mickey. Good night, Olu. Again, thank you for joining.
Nikki,
Listen,
thank you. It was a
thank
pleasure.
you. These guys are so laid back. They're just so laid back, honey. They're so cool. And it's all because of the fact that they are comfortable in what they're telling you because they're passionate about what they do. So thank you for everyone who took the time to join us tonight. And again, share. But before I go, I'm going to let you know that Miss Full Figure D.M.V is we're in our sixth anniversary, sixth annual pageant that's going to happen on August 20th. You look, if you ain't following us, please do so at Miss Full Figure D.M.V Pageant. We bring different elements to our platform because we do believe we're the community pageant. Well, with that said, if no one told you that they love you tonight, do know that I do. You know why? Because God said so. Have a good one. Bye now.